I have experienced my fair share of gut problems, digestive issues. Like, I was that girl who was like chronically bloated, going to the toilet like twice a week on a good week. Terrible digestion, terrible bloating. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing the top things that have helped me in my own gut health journey and kind of helping to heal my gut and improve my digestion. I very, very rarely get bloated, and it's never painful bloating. It's just because I've eaten a certain volume of food and it's filled my stomach up. I feel like we don't really talk about it, but it is something that so many people struggle with. It's something that a lot of people I know really struggle with, is like digestion and gut health. And I feel like it's trending quite a lot at the moment on social media. But I do also think there's a lot of like overcomplication and misinformation, and I think there is some simple things you can do that isn't a £50 gut supplement. Like, there's some other things you can do before you invest that amount of money and probably waste your time. So let's get into how I helped my own gut. So the first thing I did was incorporate more live cultured foods into my diet. Sounds a little bit weird, but basically it's things with probiotics and prebiotics. So it's foods that have good bacteria in them. Things I like are things like sauerkraut, kimchi. These are like pickled, fermented food. It sounds really strange. Kombucha, tempeh, different things like that. Kefir if you tolerate dairy. But for me personally, I like to just add like a forkful of like kimchi. You can get some really, really delicious ones. To like all of my meals. It just helps to feed the good bacteria in your gut because that food is alive, it's fermented, it's living. It literally is diversifying your gut microbiome. So all the little bugs living in there are having a little party and they are going to be helping out with your digestion. Number two is, you've probably seen it all over social media at the moment. Fiber is definitely having a moment, as it should, because eating diets that are high in fiber, the recommended amount is 30 grams per day. Most people are not hitting that 30 grams per day, and we really should be, because consuming enough fiber is so important for not only digestive health and regular bowel movements, but also hormonal detox. It helps to remove excess waste from the body, skin healthy, helps reduce the risk of like cardiovascular disease. Fiber really is amazing. It helps to keep your blood sugar stable. It is going to help to give you that like more sustained energy, because it actually slows digestion, because we actually can't digest fiber, but that is what is so good about it, is that it stays in the large intestine, helps to bulk up your stool and makes it easier to pass. Fiber maxing thing, and like going from like having no fiber to suddenly like 80 grams of fiber a day. Maybe not 80 grams, but like a lot more fiber than you're used to, can actually cause constipation, especially if you're not drinking enough water. You need to make sure you're drinking enough water when you are eating more fiber, because fiber holds water. So increase it slowly. And there are a lot of like, you don't need a fiber supplement, you don't need greens powders. One of my favorite fiber supplements is canned beans. They have like 7 grams of fiber, which is like nearly a third of your daily recommended intake in like 100 grams. And they're so easy to just like add into everything, and they're so cheap as well. Other great sources of fiber are tempeh, which is a based protein source. Things like avocados, lentils, pulses, beans, garden peas are literally like 5 grams of fiber per serving. Yeah, little additions like that are gonna really help hit that fiber target. I found really helped with my gut health is including more different varieties of plants in my diet. But at the beginning of my fitness journey, I was very focused on protein, and protein is so important, and I am still very focused on protein because I still want to build muscle. But I was not really thinking about fiber or about the diversity of my gut microbiome. So I was eating pretty much the same things every single day, which is fine. But there wasn't many different varieties of fruits and vegetables and legumes and things like that going on. So I was struggling with my digestion, I'm not gonna lie. But ever since I started incorporating different types of fruits and veggies and just trying to focus on making all of my meals nice and colourful as well as being high in protein, all those different colours and all those different fruits and veggies and whole like legumes and things like that, they all have different types of fiber that help to feed different types of bacteria in your gut. So they're all going to be having a little party down there. So when you have like a colourful meal, all of those different colours, all those different types of plants are going to be feeding the good bacteria in your gut. And swapping some of my like more heavier meat based protein sources for plant-based ones as well recently has been something that has really helped with my digestion and gut health because I still eat meat, don't get me wrong, meat and fish, and things like that, but incorporating things like tempeh, I know I keep talking about tempeh, but it is literally insane. Tofu, those protein sources also contain fiber. Really, really, really great. Another thing I stopped doing was consuming large bowls of freezing cold food. I stopped drinking all ice cold drinks. Like, drinking ice cold drinks actually creates stagnation in your digestive system because your digestion has to try and warm that liquid up, and it can actually create like bloating. Same with like big raw salads, freezing cold food. So I make sure that all my like vegetables are cooked. That being said, I have incorporated things like iceberg lettuce, cucumber in small amounts back into my diet and it's been fine. But having a massive bowl of iceberg lettuce, no. With like cold chicken from the fridge, like warm meals for good gut health all day, in my opinion. Soups, stews, warm, easy to digest meals, and cooked vegetables. Please cook your vegetables. I guarantee it will make a difference. A few other things that I did that aren't even food related are eating without distractions. When you eat without distractions and chew your food like thoroughly, I mean like 20 times per bite, you're actually taking some of the load off your digestive system. The food's already chewed, it's already like very easy to pass through the system. It doesn't have to get like broken down a lot. So that can really help to alleviate digestive problems. And eating without distractions is really great anyway because it signals to your brain, like, oh, okay, we're getting some nutrition now. Let's get things working. Let's get some digestive enzymes coming through. And it just really helps. It also helps with satiety as well because you're actually being present with the meal rather than being distracted. And finally, it would not be a gut health video if we didn't talk a bit about the nervous system and stress. So we have what is called our gut brain axes. Scientists have recently discovered that the way that our gut feels impacts our mental health, and the way that we are feeling in our brains impacts our gut health. So one thing I found really fascinating was I would eat a meal at home and have perfectly smooth digestion, feel great, feel energized. And then I would take that same meal, the leftovers from that same exact meal, to work the next day. And I would have like bloating, nausea, painful digestion. And it has nothing to do with the food itself, but to do with the environment in which I was eating it and the state of my brain and nervous system. When you are in fight or flight and not in rest and digest, obviously you're gonna have a harder time digesting your food. So even when I'm in work and I'm in a high stress environment and there's nothing I can do about that, taking a few seconds to take like 3 to 5 deep diaphragmatic breaths, like breathe down into your belly and just calm it down. Stop eating like you're being chased by a bear. You're also going to swallow a lot of air if you're like eating your food like this. Like, you're going to swallow a lot of air, and that can create like obviously gas buildup in the digestive system, which is going to cause discomfort as well. Managing your stress and calming down when you're eating, so helpful and so important. Another thing is I try not to have a drink with my food anymore. My nan used to do that, and I used to be like, how can you not have a drink when you eat? Like, if I'm gonna, it's gonna be like a small warm drink, so maybe like some bone broth or some like mint tea, but certainly not a big ice cold Diet Coke. That is, the thought of it is like giving me stomach pains. Like, no. Like, when you fill your stomach up with like liquid as you're eating, it can actually dilute your stomach acid and make digestion that little bit harder. With all of that being said, I know that is a lot of information and a lot of stuff to take in. You don't have to implement all of that. You don't have to implement all of it in one go. Just take what resonates, try a few things out and see what works. At the end of the day, what is important is that your digestive health and your gut health is good so you can feel nourished and energized. So don't get stressed out about it, don't overthink it. I really hope that at least one thing in this video helps. If it does, and if you have any interesting little gut health tips, comment them down below. I would love to hear how you're supporting your gut microbiome. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.